Hey there, welcome to The Hot Slice, the weekly podcast brought to you by Pizza Today magazine. I'm your host, Jeremy White, editor-in-chief of Pizza Today, joined today, as always, by the one and only Denise Greer, Pizza Today's executive editor. Hey, Denise.
Hello, Jeremy. How are you doing this lovely, dreary day?
It is a dreary day, but we're all smiles. We have an awesome guest on today who brings a unique perspective and experience to the pizza industry by virtue of spending so many years in a totally different industry.
That's not uncommon for our industry that we have so many folks coming in from completely different fields and coming into the business. A lot of people tend to think that the pizza industry is all folks that grew up, raised in a pizzeria and then they own a pizzeria. And the fact is we have a lot of folks that come in from completely different areas and open pizzerias.
Indeed we do. We personally know of people who spent decades working in IT or security or infrastructure or the
Business
military
finance.
or
Yeah.
whatever. And then they one day decide, hey, I'm going to open a pizzeria just like that.
Just like that. No.
Not
Lots of
as
planning.
easy as it may seem to the layman. But so, hey, today's guest is Manny Karvelas. He and his brother Joey, and really it's a kind of a family affair. Karvelas
Yeah.
Pizza in Georgia. I believe
Yep.
they're up to
Yeah.
3 locations, if I'm not mistaken. We've
Yeah.
known Joey for a few years now, interacting with him just about his business, and we've kind of got to know him, form a little bit of a cordial relationship with him. And recently he told us, hey, my brother Manny has some really cool things to say. He's made a lot of positive contributions to our pizza company. We're like, hey, let's get Manny on the podcast.
Yeah, and he, Manny, Joey told us about Manny that he brings such unique and different ideas to things like hiring, retention, and growing the business. So we felt like that was a pretty important thing to talk about right now, especially with the hiring crisis and the fact that now that we're kind of seeing air with the pandemic, a lot of people are thinking about, is it time to grow? Is it time to add that second location or third location? Or, if you're lucky, fourth, fifth, or sixth location.
Right. Manny's going to cover a lot of those bases because that's exactly what he's going through right now on the daily. So let's get Manny on and hear what he's got to say.
All right, here's Manny.
Every pizza you serve makes an impression. Make each one count with Bacio Exceptional Italian Pizza Cheese. With a kiss of buffalo milk, velvety melt, extraordinary stretch, no overbrowning, and superb reheat, Bacio is the unparalleled performer designed to consistently impress. And only Bacio offers the Gold Club Rewards program, which provides monthly cashback and exclusive marketing support. Schedule a demonstration at baciocheese.com/hotslice and discover how Bacio Exceptional Italian Pizza Cheese creates pizzas that impress.
Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high-quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide.
So Manny, you just, I guess, recently joined in with your brother Joey in the family business. Is that correct?
Yeah, in 2017.
2017. Right. So not quite recently, but 4 years ago. And
right.
Before that, you were working in logistics. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was a senior manager for FedEx, and basically managed airport operations around the country.
Oh, wow.
So I lived all over the United States and had a 25-year run with them. And I just tell Joey I was in training for 25 years for this.
So how did Joey talk you into coming into the family business?
Well, that was it took a few years. When Joey first opened. Well, Joey and I was kind of living, through him, I guess to a degree, because I was excited he was having an opportunity to open his own business. I mean, although I had a really good career and loved what I was doing, I was really hoping he could revitalize the family business, and I knew he had a passion for it. So once he kind of got going with it, I would come into town. I didn't live here. I would come into town 3 or 4 times a year and see the progress and see really just the look on the customers' faces. And,
Yeah.
that was, and then, talking to him, I knew he was going to need some help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not the food person. He is. He's the artist
Yeah.
and the food person, but just logistically and scaling and growing the business, it's very difficult for a business owner to work every day in their store. It's not as glamorous as people might think it is, and it's tough, and I figured if I could partner with him, we had an opportunity to really take it to another level. And it was a big risk. I mean, I left FedEx after 25 years, and my coworkers and colleagues were just literally stunned.
Like, what are you doing, man? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
I mean, I thought I'd hit a midlife crisis or something. I got a little pop up here, but yeah. So it was a huge move. My wife, I was more shocked that she actually supported it, because we went from a large income to literally a zero income. This was just like, hey, let's have a whole nother second half. Let's
Mm-hmm.
second half of life. Let's try something new, and trusted God, and just went out there, and we just I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I just took what I did know from FedEx and put it there with the pizza business, and we've been able to scale it and grow it. And
Mm-hmm.
We hear
That's
that
kind of-
story more often than you would think, of people who are in the corporate world, really good,
Mhm.
well-paying jobs, and
Yeah.
for any number of reasons, not happy, a corporate layoff, this, that, or the other, decide to enter the pizza business without really any prior pizzeria
Yeah.
knowledge or experience. But that's not quite the case for you. Your brother was operating the business,
Right.
so you kind of knew, at least in the back of your mind, you knew, okay, he's managed to keep the doors open, he's managed to keep the business afloat.
Yeah.
So you didn't go into it completely blindly, I guess, even though you still took a huge risk.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a risk, but it was just, I felt confident that we could figure it out. And, that was, I would have never done it though, if he had already had it open. I don't think I could have just done what I did and me go just open a pizza business or a restaurant in general and start. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I would think your logistical acumen really came into play during the COVID pandemic, when things were closed and business was reliant heavily on carry out or a delivery component versus a dine-in component. I would think that's probably was your time to shine a little bit.
Yeah. I've never been through a pandemic, but yeah, I don't think anybody can say they have, but
No one has.
I was certainly accustomed to dealing with catastrophic events, like massive storms that took out cities that we had to revamp and redo and took everything offline. 9/11, being in the airline industry back then. So I kind of just said, okay, there's so much unknown here. We don't know what to do. Let's just start with communication, with our employees, bring everybody together. Let's start talking this thing through, kind of, regular game plan. So yeah, that's, you're flying blind, but I think just having communication, everybody's trying to just get information at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
What
Absolutely.
do we do? How are we going to go about this? And, just staying in contact. So yeah, I mean, I was able to use those catastrophic times and events that I had to go through to our benefit. But again, I had no idea the magnitude of, what we've gone through.
But Karvelas has done very well. I mean, yeah, you guys actually opened up a third store recently, and it seems like you guys are doing really well. Joey had sent us a note about you, and he was like he's got some really unique and different perspectives on building and hiring. So
Right.
First, let's talk about building and how you've been able to bring something different to the table as far as helping to build the business?
Well, I felt like he had the product.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was, that's the critical thing. So how can we take that product to more people? That was kind of like that's where it began. Like, how do we get it to more people? Because when I went into the original Karvelas pizza, I don't even remember the square footage, but it was very small. And I'm just looking around, well, there's only so much you can do here.
Yeah.
There's a ceiling. I mean, let's just be honest. It doesn't matter you can only do so much. So, what do you do? So you have to open, another store. Well, then how do you, so you got to duplicate everything. And, fortunately I had a lot of experience with that, and I also had a lot of experience with managing sites that were in other states, and so I wasn't like, it didn't scare me to open a store that we both couldn't be in every day. And, I shouldn't say scare. I was comfortable with knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously you have to have people.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to trust those people. So I think that was just the dynamic. I had that experience where I know a lot of business owners that they do really good, but it's like so overwhelming to even think, like, how in the world would I have another one? I can barely hang on to what I've got. And so I think that was what I had. It's like, I know we can hire people, we can teach people how to do this, and they can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is. And I think the critical ingredient is how do you get the people? How do you retain the people?
Absolutely.
How can you trust them to do what you do every day?
And what's your secret?
How do you get the people right?
Yeah.
Well,
Tell us your secret.
At the moment. Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. What I'll share with you guys today, it's not a cheat code for hiring people. It's more like a cheat code for retaining people.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can do that, what happens is those people have such a great experience. They literally bring more people in because they're talking about, wow, this is a really good place to work. They promote it, and before you know it, you're getting the cream of the crop because it's a desirable place to be. And really, how you get there, it does take some time. It's not a snap of the finger and it's just done. But realistically, in our line of work, we're not always going to get to pick these professionals that you might have in other lines of work. We're getting people that are from all types of backgrounds. Most of them have zero experience, which I've embraced that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily look for experience. I just look for teachability. I mean, like, can you learn? I mean, and really what it boils down to for me is the first 48 hours with that person. It's the most critical. That's when you bring them in and you spend that time. I don't necessarily have to do it personally, but I did in the beginning. Now we have other people we've taught how to do that, but it's so critical. They're so nervous when they come in their first day, anxious. They don't know anybody there. You really got to just take good care of them their first 2 or 3 shifts, well, every shift, but those first few shifts are so critical. You need to have somebody, if it's not you, that you really trust with them, that's going to put their arm around them, really show them everything, be very patient with them, explain everything as much as you can, answer their questions. I've had people ask me so many times throughout my career, why do you spend so many hours with somebody that just got here? It's because that's how we keep them. And it just goes it means so much to them that you are putting a lot of effort into them, and you're hearing what their questions, you're answering their questions. You just treat them kindly. It's a professional work environment. You try to keep it a professional work environment. And there's so many different factors that, our leaders have to be, and all business owners and our leadership has to be every single day upbeat, positive, inspiring, smile on your face. It has to be a good environment. If you're kind of like overworked and you're tired and you're talking to people kind of maybe sarcastically, or you have a negative tone, you come in, you're agitated, or maybe even standoffish or silent, you're never going to build a team like that. It's like, that's absolutely what you don't do. But you see a lot of people, that's what they do, and they don't realize what it does to the staff. They don't really want to be in that environment. You can pay them, but they still don't want to be there. And they're never going to go out of their way or above and beyond to give you what you're looking for. They might just do their job, and that's not really how you build a team. So I think just me personally treating everybody like that. And then when we hire a manager, that's really the most important. It's not necessarily, can they prepare the food properly? Do they come to work on time? Those are good things, and you need that in management. You need it in all employees, but it's really, how do they treat the people? Because we cannot grow and we cannot scale without people. And when I mean, I don't mean just people, but people that we've now cultivated this culture of a fun environment where people are treated with dignity and respect, even when you might not want to, and I think that's just the key. And how many times have you guys heard some pre-pandemic, I can't hire anybody, everybody's terrible, can't get good help? Think about it. I mean, that's always been what we've heard, right?
Yeah.
And I used to love hearing that. The reason I loved hearing it is because I could get all the employees. It's just more for us to get. Y'all just keep on thinking like that, because they'll just keep coming to us.
Yeah.
And that's really, those people that have been saying that forever, they were really the reason they didn't have any people. It's because they were probably treating them kind of what I'm saying. I mean, we've all had some sort of boss or manager or supervisor that acted like that, and no one enjoys that, right? I mean, it's fun to come to work and everybody says, good morning or good afternoon, how you doing, what's going on, high five, fist bump, let's, here's the game plan, and here's how we're going to do this today. These are the things that happened yesterday, and here's how we can improve those things. Just that communication and the just upbeat attitude. That's the type of environment we have to create for these people. And when you do that, and you do it every day, day in and day out, and you teach the leaders how to do that, the place just, it hums. But because people enjoy their job, and they do a great job because they enjoy it. I mean, that's the secret sauce. And there's a lot of little things that can go, a lot more details that can go into that, but that's really in a nutshell what it is.
So do you have shift
Go ahead,
meetings? Oh, sorry. Do you have like shift meetings where you're doing this between, like your leadership's doing that for every shift? Or are you like, what kind of approach are you taking with, with this communication model with your staff?
Okay. So one of the biggest things that I have that we require every manager to do is meet with the staff. It's called a pre-shift meeting. And if we have a post-shift meeting, it's usually because we need to talk about some things that we did really good. We had some, wild night. We did great, just to give everybody a kind of an uplift on their way out the door.
Yeah.
But also we can touch on some things that we could improve upon. But basically, to answer your question, it is a requirement that this happens every day in our stores. And it just gets everybody on the same page. Yeah. And, I've noticed that, everybody doesn't come to work thinking about work. People usually come to work with other things on their mind. They might have something serious going on at home. They're distracted. This gets everybody together. We kind of run through the game plan and just kind of tightens everything up. So yes, it really helps.
Yeah, it does. What was your question, Jeremy?
What do you like about the job? What excites you to walk in to a restaurant, a pizzeria every day versus what you had done in your previous career?
Well, number one, I mean, there's a lot of satisfaction in it being, ours. Mm-hmm. you know, there is a lot of joy in that. I mean, I really enjoyed my job before, and I loved all the people there. You know, there wasn't something that happened that I left. I mean, it was, but what I really love about going into our business is to see all of our employees happy and smiling, and our customers enjoying their time there. You know, I can always look around the room and just see if our customers are making eye contact with our employees. That's like a huge thing. If our customers' heads are down while our employees are at their tables, that's not what you want to see. You really want to see that interaction. You know, that's kind of what we try to create. And when I see that, it's just like, you know, it's so much has gone into this, and to see that, just there's a lot of joy and satisfaction, you know, and I think that would be the two things really.
Nice. And what about working with a sibling? How does that impact your? I'm sure you guys probably threw fists at one another growing up at some point in time.
I have siblings. I couldn't imagine owning a business with them. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, well, it's even deeper. I've got 3 of my children also work with us, and my our oldest son is also an owner of the company, and it's been great. I mean, we've heard so many people say that kind of stuff, and yes, I mean, we have had, you know, differences of opinion, or you know, but at the end of the day, we both love what we're doing, and we respect one another, and it's really been great. But it's probably because it's gone so well too. I mean, I think that helps. You know, if it wasn't going as well, I mean, maybe it would be harder. But
success fosters happiness.
Yeah, it does. It does. So success can definitely make a lot of that stuff go away. But no, I think it's definitely probably not obviously what everybody desires to do. But in our case, we grew up a tight-knit family, and we're real close with all of our siblings. And, you know, we also now have another brother on with us. So there's 3 brothers. And so it's just, we have a good rapport.
That's great. I'm sorry, the question just slipped right out of my head. Let me turn it over to Jeremy.
I was just thinking about that. What I was going to follow up with and ask you with your brother, and now you say a 3rd brother involved, your children involved.
Yeah.
We looking for some growth in the future to open new stores down the line, or what's kind of the long-term strategy here?
Well, the long-term strategy from day one, now it's becoming what's next, was, hey, let's see what we can do, you know. And I thought between us we could do 5 stores. We just need some help finding those locations, and you know. But now we're working on our 4th, and you know, we would love to do something large, but I think that we could probably do 10 stores, but beyond that, we may have to get some more, I don't know, like expertise on, you know, scaling to that, you know, degree. I feel comfortable doing what we're doing up to about that many. We're probably going to have to kind of look at some new things to go bigger, because I mean, realistically, with 3 stores, it is very busy. 7 days a week, over 100 employees, and you know, just simple things are not simple anymore, and they're complex. You know, just our payroll is complex now. I mean, used to, I could just write the checks out of the checkbook, put them in an envelope. You know, it just doesn't work like that anymore.
Nope, not at all.
So complex, and but it's not just that's just one example. But I think the long-term plan is to grow into definitely a regional, but potentially national.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say that's what we're striving for right now, but I do think it's in the back of our minds. I do think we would be interested in because the product we feel like is really good. It's like I said in the beginning of this, how can we get it to everybody so everybody can enjoy it? I mean, that's really kind of, how do we do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and Joey actually sent me one of your shirts, and people ask me about that shirt all the time, by the way. Hoodie, he gave me a hoodie, and people ask me about it because it's got your tagline on the back, and it's really fun. But, you know, something I'm really interested in, because you just opened your third store and now you're going into your fourth. What's something that what are those lessons learned that you learned from going to 3 stores that you're going to take into this new growth?
Well, there are some things we're learning. I mean, but some of it, a lot of it's in the build out phase. You know, how we're getting better at that. That's used to be like a major, you know, like, how are we going to build a restaurant? You know, that's like that's like hard, you know, like, right, you buy a building, do you lease a building? Well, how long do you lease it for? And who's going to design it? Who's going to build it? How much is it going to cost? You know, there's so many. We have gotten now a team that can do that kind of stuff for us. So that we've definitely learned a lot in the build out phase. But as far as the operations goes, we just understand, you know, now how many people we're going to need to hire, when we should hire them, how long it takes to train them, because those are things like, how do you get ready to open a store that the lines are 2-hour waits and phones never stop ringing? I mean, how do you effectively do that the day you open? Those are things that we just got our butts handed to us on, you know, in our second store. And then we thought we had it figured out for the third store, but it was like times 10, you know. So I think that we now understand, you know, how many people we need. And it's not just how many people, it's how they're scheduled and staffed for 7 days, you know, plan 2 weeks out, how long it takes to get somebody really proficiently trained, what that cost is going to be, because really what we have to do is hire them 3 to 4 months before we even open, and just bake them all into the other stores, and our payroll is exorbitantly higher than it should be, just to have these people ready, you know, when we open. So we understand that kind of stuff a lot better now than we did. So those things are easier for us to accomplish. We also understand just how difficult, you know, it is to run multiple stores and then to add another one. So, you know, we're looking at hiring these key individuals. Like in August, we're bringing on somebody that I've known for over 20 years that was with me at FedEx. He's actually going to retire and come on with us to help with, you know, HR. I mean, so now we have we have on-site person that's so experienced that can help our managers with employee-related issues. That's just, those are types of things that you know, we're recognizing that we've got to have, because we have a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old managers that are incredible, but they don't have a ton of life experience. And, you know, it's difficult for them to understand how to handle situations because they've never been we can teach them how to make the food, how the restaurant runs, but we can't teach them how to respond to so many different, you know, human beings and all the things they're going through. You know, and who does know that, right? I mean, so you need somebody that has those skill sets and knows what to do. I think that's just one more piece that you got to be willing to go out and find and add to your business to help. You know, it's just another piece to scale.
Yeah. It sounds like
Or
you're definitely taking the steps that you need to take to potentially grow in the future if the stars align. So good for you.
Right. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. That's exciting that Joey had not shared future growth plans with us. So that's exciting to hear. And wow, Denise, do you have any parting shots or last questions for Manny before we go get about the rest of his day?
Let's go out on this one question. What is your biggest piece of advice that you have for maybe the operator that has one store, or maybe those that don't have any yet, that are thinking, hey, I'm probably going to do multiple stores. I really want to do multiple locations. What's that one big piece of advice that you would give them before they launch into it?
Well, my advice to them would be, let's assume that you have one store,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to scale. Well, if you're doing almost all of the work, you really need to ask yourself what's going on and why. And I think if you can hire people and treat them the way we spoke about,
Mm-hmm.
that's what allows you to put them in those positions that you may not trust anybody else to do right now. So
Mm-hmm.
trust the people, treat the people right, and they will do everything and more that you ask of them. It's an amazing thing. And that's really all you do, is just take care of them, treat them right, give them the opportunity, let them do the job, step back. And I think they would be amazed. It's not real complicated. It's actually that simple, but so many business owners just have a stranglehold on everything.
Yeah.
And they just won't relinquish it. They want to control everything and nitpick all the employees' performance, and it creates a negative environment, and they got to let that go.
Mm-hmm.
And quit saying things like, everybody's terrible, I can't get any good help. I mean, your employees hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just take care of people, treat them like you want to be treated. And I think that's the key. And all of a sudden you're going to have an army of people, and you're going to be like, wow, I can do anything I want to do now.
Yeah, exactly. How often, Jeremy, do we hear that an operator say, I want to see every pizza that comes across this line? Well, think about how many pizzas that is if you're a high volume pizzeria. I'm just thinking about how many.
Versus working in your business, two very different things. So
yeah,
really, really well said. Manny, thank you for graciously giving us your time today, sitting down with us and just telling us a little bit about what's going on down there. It's exciting stuff, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast with us today.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you very much
for having me on.
All right, Manny, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.